I made a promise. I made a promise to every one of you that I would swallow my pride and I will review one of the worst wrestling shows I have ever seen in 25 years. I watch wrestling. I watch all companies. I watch WWE. I watch AEW. I watch TNA. I watch WCW and I watch ECW. But the show I'm about to review, if you have children, they are not to watch this show because this show was one of the worst wrestling shows alongside one of the worst endings in professional wrestling history. If you thought my Hell in a Cell 2019 video was bad, motherfucker, you've come to the right fucking place for this one. This is the PLE before. This was the last PLE with fans. I think before Money in the Bank in 2021, obviously due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Honest to God. I personally don't think I'm ready for this myself, if I'm telling you the truth. I remember watching this Thursday night where there was things I could have done. I could have gone to the pub with my parents. I could have I think at that time we were in the midst of where my previous workplace was. And I think we were set to get furloughed. I did in the end. And one of my all-time mistakes, before I get into this review, I was not on Match Wrestling at the time. The podcast that I do with my best friend and with Moses Marquez, one of my other great friends that I have, and I should have absolutely gone fucking nuclear on this show. This was held in Saudi Arabia. Oh my god, man. So, show starts with a two-way trophy gauntlet match. This is the most pointless trophy I have ever seen in my entire life. Announced team of Corey Graves, Michael Cole, and Baron Saxton, letting us know that the temperatures were in the mid-60s, and that's in Fahrenheit. Say it's comfortable, but it's not going to be too hot for the wrestlers. First and foremost, I will stop you there. Think of the poor women that were going to be in the match later on in the evening. How do you think they feel of having to compete looking like fucking Power Rangers? I can't. Let's get this all over and fucking done with. R-Truth made his entrance as the first competitor in the gauntlet match. Fans loved his What's Up entrance. And chanting his name by the end of it. Bobby Lashley was next as the second man in the gauntlet. Lashley was joined by his storyline wife Lana, who had her whole body covered up in golden dress. This is why I hate Saudi Arabian shows, man. While Lashley went towards the ring, Lana went backstage. We had a talk with the Arabic announced team as well. They were ringside. Did you know Lana flew all the way to Saudi Arabia to stand on the stage for 15 seconds and to walk to the back? That appearance was shorter than the match that we had last night on NXT with JC Jane and Sol Ruka. She may as well just have stayed at fucking home. All right, let's get this all over and done with. Right, so Lashley starts with a shoulder tackle on Truth. Truth then hit a corner splash. Truth went to the apron, leading to Lashley hitting a forearm. Then knocked Truth up to the apron, onto the floor, with Truth crashing into the barricade. Get back in the ring. Lashley hit a shoulder tackle into the ribs of Truth. Lashley then hits a delayed vertical suplex. Truth fights back and hits a brief sleeper. Lashley fights out of it, and Truth hit a shoulder tackle. Lashley looked quite impressive, but hit more of a very impressive shoulder tackle to stop Truth's momentum. Truth managed to hit a spinning set-out slam like John Cena, his childhood hero, followed by the five-knuckle shuffle. Bobby Lashley reversed the attitude adjustment attempt. Truth hits his jumping kick, and Lashley hits a flatliner. Lashley then went for the spear, but Truth moved out of the way. Lashley hits the turnbuckle, and Truth covered Lashley for the 3 count. Quicker I get this out of the way, the fucking better. After the pinfall, Bobby Lashley then hits Truth for the forearm to the back. Lashley sent Truth out of the ring and whipped him to the ring post. Lashley then whipped Truth shoulder first into the steel steps. He hits the spear on Truth, and Lashley then left. Next up, Andrade came out. The United States title making a return after the 30-day wellness policy violation. They apparently did an injury angle on Andrade. There's no Zelina with him. Damn. Zelina was probably the best thing at that time. Starts with Andrade, wrenched us on the left arm with Truth against the ropes. Andrade grabbed an armbar to pull onto the left arm with Truth some more. It's double knees on Truth against the turnbuckle for a 2 count. Truth blocked a double arm DDT attempt by driving Andrade into the turnbuckle. Fans just did not care. This is the problem with these Saudi shows. They just don't give a fuck. They just, come on, beer, get this over and done with. Andrade then works over Truth for some chops. Andrade charged. Truth ducked, and Andrade went flying over the top rope. Back into the ring. Truth got some offense in with a flying forearm. And punching Andrade hits a spinning back elbow. Also the spot where they bumped some heads. Why? Boring. Truth laid on top of Andrade in a fleet manner and gets a 3 count. Why are you pinning the United States champion at the time? Why? Good God, now it gets worse. Eric Rowan was out next and brought his cage. God, this was fucking terrible. The storyline was fucking garbage. There was no fucking payoff. Serious to Christ. Rowan hits a running splash on Truth, followed by a body slam and an elbow drop. I gotta admit, guys, this match was fucking just boring, making me fall asleep. Rowan in charge. Truth got 2 feet up to stop him. Truth lowered the top rope, send Rowan to the outside. Truth with a slingshot dive over the top onto Rowan onto the floor. Rowan then hits a headbutt and then a drop kick that sends Truth into the steel steps where Rowan's cage was. That knocked the cage over, so why did we not see anything at that time? I will never know. Rowan then put the cage back into the apron and sent Truth into the steel stairs. Rowan grabbed the stairs, and Rowan hit Truth for the steps and damaging the shoulder of our Truth. Ref called for the disqualification. Come on, this is nearly done. Disqualification. Rowan went back into the ring and hit an iron claw slam on Truth. Rowan then left with his cage. Truth was getting checked by the referee in the ring, but AJ Styles, finally, something decent. We got a great pop at the time because AJ Styles, without doubt, obviously, I'm so happy he's going into the WWE Hall of Fame. Obviously, I'm recording this on the 26th. If you've missed Raw, AJ Styles has been inducted into WWE Hall of Fame, which was fucking great. I love AJ Styles so much, man. He's one of my favorite of all time. Truth then tried to go for a punch. Styles moved and mocked the breakdowns, followed by a kick to the face. Styles told Truth to get up to dance, so Styles punched him when Truth got up. Styles kept on doing some dance moves, followed by a kick to the back of the leg, while the fans kept chanting for AJ. AJ rolled through with a calf crusher submission on Truth's leg, and Truth tapped out. This went for the less than 3 minutes. Good God. Next up, Rey Mysterio, the final competitor in the match. Styles was smiling as Rey Mysterio's music hit. And then they show that Gallows and Anderson then attack Mysterio. Styles gets Mike said, looks like little Rey isn't going to get up from that, so Styles wins by forfeit, and then he is the Gauntlet champion. Styles told Sean Bennett to raise his hand, but the referee wouldn't do it. The referee told the ring announcer Mike Rome something with Rome announcing that AJ Styles. The opponent did not come out to make it. And then we get the gong of The Undertaker. This was the last time that you saw The Undertaker make the long walk in front of fans, by the way. So we did have The Undertaker in a feud with AJ Styles in that time. They're going to have a fucking incredible, great Boneyard match at WrestleMania 36. If you've not seen the Boneyard match, excellent contest. Taker gets into the ring. Styles told him he wasn't supposed to be out there. He complains to the referee, but the referee said the match was on. Styles charged towards The Undertaker. Taker grabs him by the throat. Taker didn't even take his jacket or hat off. Taker chokeslam Styles and wins the match after 10 seconds. This was 33 minutes of my time I completely wasted, and The Undertaker wins the two-week, I don't care if I pronounce that wrong, trophy gauntlet. Do you know The Undertaker did not even give a fuck about that trophy? The Undertaker did not freaking care. So you had the demise of Andrade. To be fair, I do not know why Andrade just did not leave after that. To be fair, Andrade was better off at that time. It's too good to be fucked around with Andrade, but they made AJ Styles look fucking stupid. To lose after one chokeslam, for AJ Styles to lose. Now, I am doing so hard not to fucking shout like fuck at this show, because it is, as I'm speaking now, it is 12:30 at night. This is as I'm recording this. Next up, Big E and Kofi Kingston do a promo showing us why they are the WWE Smackdown Tag Team Champions. John Morrison and The Miz make their entrance. What happened to John Morrison, man? He's so freaking wasted in AEW. And he's doing Johnny Loves Tire sort of garbage that we are getting on Collision. Don't get me going with Collision. So, some comedy early on. Big E slapped the abdominal stretch on Miz, followed by some ass slapping. Morrison tagged in. Big E with a belly suplex, and Kingston gets a tag with a splash on Morrison for a 2 count. Big E with a shoulder to the ribs. Kingston gets a corner splash from Big E with a clothesline on Morrison. Morrison dumped Big E out of the ring. Miz gets a kick. And Morrison hits a twisted dive over the top to Big E on the floor. Miz gets the tag, and it's a double gutbuster followed by a boot to the face for a 2 count. Morrison with a running kick on Big E for a 2 count. Miz tags in. Big E dumped Morrison out of the ring. Big E hits a Uranagi slam on the Miz. Kingston got the tag with a springboard punch on Morrison, a drop kick. Morrison gets a kick to the ribs. Kingston jumped off the top with a Hurricane Rana, followed by a double foot stomp to the shoulders for a 2 count. Kofi hits the boom drop on Morrison, the Miz in the ring. Kofi sent him out, and Morrison hits an Alabama slam, followed by a running knee for a 2 count. Fans were chanting Miz and Morrison, hey, hey, ho, ho from Smackdown. Jesus Christ, so fucking cringe. Kofi hits the SOS flipping slam for a 2 count with Big E getting the tag. Morrison punched Big E to the floor. Big E then puts Morrison onto his shoulders, with Kofi hitting a double foot slam for a 2 count. Miz sends Kingston into the barricade and gets the tag. Miz hits a DDT for a 2. Miz hits the kicks to the chest. Big E then caught Miz. Morrison tags in and does the backbreaker combination and the neck breaker, which was nice. There was a double foot stomp on Morrison by John Morrison. Morrison then goes for Starship Pain off the top. Big E moves out of the way. Kingston tags himself back in and punched Miz off the apron. Big E again then tagged in. Kingston lifting Morrison's onto Big E's shoulders and go for the midnight hour for a 2 count with Miz breaking up the pin. Kingston went for the trust fall drive over the top on Miz. Miz moved and Kingston landed back first onto the floor. This was rough, by the way. But Kofi nailed the sell perfectly. Miz then tags and avoids the slam from Big E and hits skull crushing finale for a 2 count. This was probably the match of the night, by the way. This just shows how much this show was fucking awful. Miz hits some kicks again on Big E. Then 2 running knees. Big E avoids the third attack and Miz bumped onto the turnbuckle. Kofi got back into the match with a forward roll on Miz for a 2. Kofi then gets another roll up. Morrison then jabbed the chair into the ribs of Kofi with the referee's back turned, and Miz did the roll up of death, grabs the tights for the 1-2-3 after 13 minutes. Now, I did not dislike this. I think Miz and Morrison were great as tag champions when they were at the time on SmackDown that time in the late 2000s. I'm trying so hard to get through this show. Following the match, you had Byron Saxton backstage. He interviewed Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy, who were the tag team champions of Raw. Rollins said it's a matter of destiny, and they will still be Raw tag team champions, and the threat of the Street Profits will be eradicated. Angel Garza made his entrance for the match against his cousin, real-life cousin, Humberto Carrillo. This was a match that was added on Wednesday. That was the night before. And it was a rematch from Raw. So we were doing 2 rematches. We were having a rematch after 3 days ago. Why? Made no fucking... Oh, God. This is... WWE sucked back then badly. Carrillo starts with some kicks, followed by a headbutt off the top rope. Carrillo with an arm drag after jumping off the ropes. Carrillo with a head scissors takedown onto the floor. Carrillo with a suicide dive that sent Garza into the barricade, followed by an elbow drop to the ribs. Both men go back into the ring. Carrillo hits a basement drop kick to the ribs. Garza tripped up Carrillo to the ropes, followed by a drop kick to the knees. Garza then pulled off the pants to not much of a reaction. Fans were dead for this match. Like, who cares? We had this match 3 days ago on Raw. Why? Garza then put on the camel clutch. Carrillo then hits a running kick, then a hard slap to the face. Carrillo hits a jump springboard kick to knock Garza down for a 2 count. Garza with a leaping kick to the head while Carrillo was on the top. Carrillo jumped off and Garza hit a drop kick to the ribs for 2. Carrillo with a super kick to the back of Garza's neck. Garza came back with a super kick to the face and Carrillo hits Canadian Destroyer. But the fans did not care about this match. Like, serious to Christ. We're just like, wrap it up. Carrillo goes to the top, jumps off with a moonsault, but each got a 2 count. Garza pinned the shoulders of Carrillo by hooking the legs and gets the 1-2-3. One of the most boring matches I have ever seen. Oh, don't worry, we'll get to this very soon. Bayley, beautiful Bayley, backstage with Byron Saxton. Bayley saying she was making history for the first women's title match in the history in Saudi Arabia. Bayley says she'll continue to prove to the WWE Universe that she is the most dominant SmackDown Women's Champion that there ever was. That time, Bayley was the best thing about SmackDown at the time. So we carry on this absolute shit show, but commercial ad for John Cena's return on SmackDown. We miss you, John. I am gutted that he's retired. John Cena could still go, in my opinion. And they announced John Cena's return on SmackDown. Tag team title match, Raw Tag Team Championship, Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy for their title defense against the Street Profits. Byron Saxton then came back on commentary. Why? Why can you just keep Saxton on commentary? You could have had someone else doing the fucking commentary backstage or the interviews backstage. Who cares? Starts off, Dawkins tackled Murphy. Ford then hits a missile dropkick, and Dawkins sends Rollins out of the ring. Ford with a dropkick on Murphy. Then Ford kicked Rollins while Ford is on the apron. Then Murphy punched Ford off the apron onto the Arabic announce table. Rollins and Murphy kicked Ford in the back repeatedly to keep him down. Murphy, the most underrated wrestler at the time in WWE. Buddy Murphy is so fucking underrated. I do not know where Buddy Murphy is at the minute. I would love Buddy Murphy to come back. Do you want to know a story that would have made sense with Buddy Murphy coming back? Is when that time when Liv and Dom were after SummerSlam, you could have had a tag match with Buddy Murphy and Rhea Ripley against Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio. I like the match with Priest involved, but I think Buddy Murphy would have been fucking great. Great match that would have been. Murphy dumps Ford out of the ring. Rollins gets a tag and with Ford into the barricade. Rollins slaps on the chinlock on Ford. Rollins dumps Ford out of the ring. Murphy tries to attack. Ford whipped Murphy off into the barricade. Rollins missed the dive and hit the barricade. Dawkins needing the tag. Got up Mr. Street Profits. Hope they're back on television soon. Murphy pulled him off the apron and whipped Dawkins into the barricade. Rollins went back in with a forearm to Ford, followed by a Falcon Arrow for a 2 count. Rollins gives Ford a buckle bomb. I hate that maneuver so much after what happened to Finn at SummerSlam 2016. Alongside some kicks. Murphy goes for the pin for the cover. Dawkins breaks it up. Ford broke free, landing onto Dawkins, getting the hard tag. Dawkins hit a dropkick on both opponents. Dawkins with spinning attacks into turnbuckle and a bulldog. Dawkins with an overhead suplex on Rollins for 2. Ford jumps back in with a spinning forearm and a reverse neck breaker after jumping off Dawkins. This was neat, by the way. Murphy sent Dawkins to the floor. Ford with a jumping kick on Murphy and Rollins and gets a 2 count. Ford hits an enziguri kick on Rollins. Ford goes to the top rope and they go for a frog splash. Ford's frog splash is fucking smooth, by the way. Goes for gets the 2 count with Murphy pulling Ford out of the ring. Dawkins with a pounce attack that sent Murphy into the announce table. Rollins avoided a double team maneuver and sent Dawkins into the turnbuckle and a kick to the ribs that sent Ford out of the ring. Murphy was back in. Ford jumped off the top and the Street Profits counter moves into a double DDT which sends the champs out to the floor. Ford at a somersault dive off the top. Rollins and Murphy caught in, leading to Ford getting whipped into the barricade. Dawkins with a running attack off the apron onto Seth and Murphy. Dawkins with a slam on Rollins to the floor. Rollins held Dawkins' foot. Murphy hits a pump kick, and Rollins then hits a stomp on Dawkins on the apron, and Murphy gets the 1, 2, 3. This was not a bad match. It was not better than the New Day against Miz and John Morrison, without a doubt. There we go. Dolph Ziggler. And the match that was added yesterday. What's the build? It was anything to get Mansoor on the show. And Mansoor is the Undertaker at the time of Saudi Arabia. He's never lost a match in Saudi Arabia. Oh, I did not care about this match. Firstly, Rude interferes on Ziggler. Rude got ejected from the ring. Mansoor hits a standing moonsault. Ziggler fights back with a dropkick. Ziggler hits a snapmare for a 2 count. Ziggler grounded Mansoor with an armbar onto the left arm. Mansoor got back up and hit Ziggler, but Ziggler hit a neckbreaker in. Mansoor fights back and gets some momentum in with an elbow and a kick. and a leaping cowbell on the apron. Mansoor jumped quickly over the top rope into a neckbreaker on Ziggler. Mansoor picked up Ziggler, leading to a turn-in slam for a 2 count. Mansoor slowly climbed to the top, so Ziggler was able to knock him down. Ziggler hits a zigzag for a 2 count, even though that's not his finisher anymore. Why? God, this show sucks. Ziggler hooked the arms of Mansoor, leading to another 2 count. Ziggler missed a corner attack. Mansoor used his legs to climb the ropes. It's a nice DDT. Mansoor goes up to the top and connects with a moonsault, where Mansoor, his knees actually hit Ziggler in the ribs. Mansoor covered Ziggler and then wins in 9 minutes. I did not care about this match. When you had Dolph Ziggler at the time in one of the best feuds at that time on Smackdown with Otis, one of the better feuds on the show at that point in time, I just wish Dolph got out then. Dolph should have went to AEW, would have been at least world champion by now. Baron Saxton's interviewing Mansoor in the ring. Mansoor takes the microphone away. Mansoor thanks the fans and that their voices carried him. Yeah, carry me out of this fucking show. And he speaks from Arabic. And did you know that he beat Claudio Castagnoli in Saudi Arabia? Yeah. Garbage. Next up, we get the WWE Championship match on the line. Brock Lesnar would defend the championship against Ricochet. What's the build? What was the build for this match? Now, I don't like Ricochet. I like him as a wrestler. As a person, I think he's an idiot. But the fact that Ricochet was actually right, he lost his love for WWE. He lost in 90 seconds to Brock Lesnar. There's no point even reviewing this. Ricochet tried to attack as soon as the bell rings. Lesnar shoved him away, where Ricochet tried another dropkick. Lesnar hit Ricochet with punches to the back. Third Suplex City. Lesnar hits an F5 and wins in 9 seconds. Jesus fucking Christ. I gotta admit to you, I felt so sorry for Ricochet at the time. Next up, we go to boring, even worse. Steel cage match. Roman Reigns versus King Corbin. Why didn't this feud not end at that Royal Rumble that year? I'll wait. So we get the rules of the cage match they keep mentioning. Yes, we know the rules of a steel cage match. Fuck me. Not far to go, be positive only. Match starts. Reigns used the steel chain to lock the door to prevent interference and keep Corbin from walking out the door. Corbin attacks from behind before the bell rings. And the bell rings. Corbin punched Roman and whips him into the steel cage twice. This was the big dog era, by the way. The big dog era. Now, we are blessed to see the tribal chief, the OTC, instead of this big dog garbage that we got. Thankfully, this is the final PLE that we had of the big dog before we went to the tribal chief era, which saved Roman Reigns' career. I love Roman. I adore Roman Reigns a lot. But this gimmick wasn't it, man. This wasn't it. Corbin whipped Reigns into the cage again. Corbin slowly tried to climb out of the cage. Reigns managed to bring him down. Reigns gets some right hands to prevent a powerbomb off the top rope. Reigns jumped off the top with a double axe handle for a 2 count. Reigns worked over Corbin with the corner clotheslines. Ran the ropes. Corbin hits a deep 6 for a 2 count. Corbin went looking for the key to the padlock chain that was wrapped around the door. Corbin caught Reigns with a left-in slam for another near fall. Corbin got the key from Roman's pocket, and Corbin opened the lock that was by the door. Reigns tried to stop him, but Corbin elbowed him to the head. Corbin called for the referee to open the door as Corbin worked over the head of Roman with some right hands. Roman grabs the foot of Corbin. Corbin got to the turnbuckle and Reigns slammed the door onto Corbin's head. Reigns wanted to go for the Superman punch. Corbin caught him and then hit a chokeslam. Corbin wrapped the steel chain around his fist. He mocked Roman's pose. Roman does get hit the Superman punch for 2. Did a classic spot with Corbin climbing up the cage. And then Roman exchanged punches there with Corbin. Like I said, I did not pay any interest to this match. Roman then hits the Superman punch. And then another Superman punch, but with the chain wrapped around his fist in 12 minutes. I thought it was garbage. One of the worst matches of the year. God almighty. Jesus Christ. We're nearly there. Next up, SmackDown Women's Championship on the line. Bayley and Naomi. Both women in their usual t-shirts. Bayley with a role model shirt and Naomi in a glow sort of gear because we had the Feel the Glow era. Doesn't come anywhere close to the era of Naomi that we've got at the minute. Naomi hits a jump in its elbow, taps to start, followed by a split-legged leg drop. We've got a 2 count. Bayley tries to regroup, which led to Naomi coming back with a leg drop for another 2 count. Naomi pulled Bayley towards the ropes, then pulled onto the arm, and Naomi came back with a kick to the gut. Naomi leaping head scissors takes Bayley down to the floor. Naomi hits a corkscrew plancha over the top rope, and Bayley on the floor. Bayley managed to knock Naomi off the apron to the floor. Bayley whipped Naomi into the barricade and back into the ring. Bayley applies a chin lock and hits a snap suplex. Bayley did some showboating. I miss Bayley as a heel, man. Bayley was so fucking great as a heel. One of the best heels, I think, in WWE history during that time in 2019 to 2024 when she turned face. I was ready for a Bayley face turn, but the heel run was fucking incredible. Bayley did some showboating. Naomi got some boots to the face and whipped Bayley into the turnbuckle. Naomi with a jumping kick to the head and followed by a jawbreaker and a punch. Naomi with a springboard kick. Springboard cross body block. And she landed on her knee by Bayley right in the ribs. This looked quite nasty. Naomi gets a submission onto the upper body, but Bayley got to the ropes. Bayley ducked a kick. Naomi with another kick and a double feet to the face. Bayley fights back and hits the Bayley to belly slam for a 2 count. Even though it's not her finisher anymore. Because she had a worse finish, and that was the Rose Plant. Bayley with a forearm to the back of the leg, leading to a 2 count. Fans did not care about this match. I don't know what it is, but the Saudi Arabian, I don't know what it is with why Saudi Arabian fans do not care less about women's wrestling. And again, women's wrestling at the time sucked anyway. NXT was not that much better. He avoided the Rose Plant. Bayley hits a running knee to the face around the turnbuckle. Naomi tripped her up, and Naomi went for a moonsault off the top with Bayley moving out the way. Bayley trapped Naomi's feet into the back of his shirt and hits the Rose Plant for the win. Boring. Garbage match, and no one cared less. And last, the one you've all been waiting for. WWE Universal Championship match. Bray Wyatt, the Fiend. God rest your soul, Bray. Against Bill Goldberg. Goldberg making his entrance with his security guard. The chance for Goldberg, apparently he was in, apparently they were real, but for me, piped in. Bray then makes his entrance. Thankfully, there was no red light, like in the Fiend's last match against Bryan. Goldberg and the Fiend had a stare down to start the match. Bray took the jacket off, and Goldberg hit a spear for a 2 count with the Fiend kicking out quickly. Bray slaps on the mandible claw. Goldberg was not even selling this. Goldberg backed off with him in the corner. Fiend charged in, and Goldberg hits another spear. Then hits a fourth spear. Another near fall. Fiend slaps on the mandible claw to throw again. Goldberg was again no selling. Goldberg hits a headbutt and a knee to the gut. Goldberg gave the Fiend a jackhammer. It was more of a float over slam and wins the Universal Championship in less than 3 minutes. This show nearly made me give up watching WWE for good. The fact that pardon me, that was my alarm clock, so I'm going to get ready to watch Dynamite. The fact that you had 53-year-old Bill Goldberg that was going to defend the title in that year's WrestleMania against Roman Reigns. Before the pandemic hit, Roman Reigns did not go to that WrestleMania, and it was the best decision that he ever made. Came back as the tribal chief. We had Braun Strowman in the match, and it was the first time in a long time because Braun Strowman kept being booked like a bitch, and I love you, Braun. I love Adam Scherr. But Braun Strowman was booked like a loser. John Cena faced Bray Wyatt at that year's WrestleMania in the Firefly Funhouse match. Would have been more ideal for John Cena to face the Fiend for the Universal Championship, where it's all on the line. Bray Wyatt can bury his demons from WrestleMania 30, and what a win that would be for Bray Wyatt. He could have gone into the summer and he could have feuded with Strowman, he could have feuded with a couple of others, and then you would have had the Fiend against Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. Roman as the tribal chief. Roman wins the Universal title. It's a win-win situation. But no, Vince McMahon did, and I call this to this very day, the worst creative decision I think I've ever seen. At that time, I was just starting to really get into AEW at the time because the storylines in AEW were making sense. Vince McMahon, during that time, was losing his fucking mind. Every Raw, every Smackdown, and soon enough it was then NXT, where Vince McMahon was losing his fucking mind. The Fiend was never the same again. The Fiend missed its aura following that, because Bray Wyatt walked into that WrestleMania, and I love Bray. I miss the guy so much. Bray Wyatt walked into that WrestleMania an absolute loser. To put the title on a 53-year-old Bill Goldberg at the time was an utter embarrassment. They didn't learn their lesson. They did not learn their lesson, because remember at the Crown Jewel pay-per-view where we had The Undertaker versus Goldberg, where Goldberg nearly broke the neck of The Undertaker because Goldberg concussed himself before the fucking match. The Undertaker said it was the worst match he's ever been in. But then again, big take, he had that tag match, remember, with Kane against DX. This was, without a doubt, one of the darkest days I've ever watched WWE. I've seen the Attitude Era. I've been blessed with the Ruthless Aggression Era. I've been blessed with the early days, the New Generation Era, which I don't think was the greatest. 1995 was one of the worst years in professional wrestling history. 2018 Monday Night Raw was terrible. The pay-per-views were not bad. 2019 Monday Night Raw was the most disgraceful and egregious television I've ever seen. But this pay-per-view made Hell in a Cell 2019 look like WrestleMania 17. WWE disgraced themselves this night. You buried the Fiend. Absolute It was a crime against wrestling. We were robbed of a match for Bray Wyatt to bury everything, to get that win back over John Cena. But no, the WWE were trying everything they can to get Roman Reigns over. And like I said, I love Roman now. Roman was not the guy. You look at El Hero del Vikingo in AAA now. Vikingo is getting booed out of the building because they forced Vikingo down their throats and then they turned Vikingo heel and it's working. I was ashamed to be a WWE fan. And I admittedly, I contemplated start watching the product for good. But because we were going into the pandemic and I thought there's nothing on at the time, so I had to stick by it. And let me tell you one thing. I love Max Wrestling. My best friend is the founder of the podcast. My good friend Moses Marquez also does that show. I will try and find the episode that they reviewed Super Showdown. I'm going to go back and rewatch that show on Max Wrestling. And let me tell you what, they would not have a show if I was on it because I would have been fucking cancelled. The reason why I've not raised my voice once is because I have all respect for my fucking neighbors. I have respect for my neighbors, and there's people outside, they hear me thinking I'm a raging fucking lunatic, then they are fucking correct. Because this is a night WWE fucking disgusted themselves. Anyway, thank God that's over. 0 out of 10. And I might be being harsh on the Smackdown Tag Team title match because that Tag Team title match was great. The Bayley and Naomi was okay. No one really cared. Rollins and Murphy against the Profits wasn't bad. The rest, don't even bother. Anyway, this is your Super Blowdown or Super Snooze Down retro rewatch. Now we are in February, and February is usually a very good month for wrestling, so I'm going to try and blast out some more content. The newest episode of Back to Black and Gold is now up. I am aiming to get more episodes done, but this is the one you've all been waiting for. So hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you all for the next time. I'm out. Fuck WWE. Fuck Super Showdown. The worst WWE show I've ever seen. And it's got a 0 rating on cagematch.net. Thank you for watching. See you soon.